Hey friends, welcome back. Laurie here from the Breathing Room. I wanted to share with you the number one mistake that I see smart, savvy women making when it comes to earning good money as an individual and as a married couple, but don't have a thing to show for it, and how you too could be walking down the aisle to bankruptcy. Welcome back to the Smart Savvy series, stories of self-sabotage and how to unlearn habits that keep kicking you in the butt. It's all about redefining our success, unlearning habits that keep us from living our best life. Because you know what? Your past does not define you. A few new beliefs and your future will be redefined. So today I want to share you my story. 32 years old, married, second marriage. I was earning a six-figure salary, of my own. Between us, we were earning around probably 200K a year, Australian. We had three kids. I was working in the city. He was working in the suburbs. We'd bought a renovator's delight. I was, into my boot camps and doing personal training sessions. We had kids' sports on the weekend. We had friend dates. The boys went riding most weekends, friends, parties, nice car, all the things. We were a normal middle-class family doing middle-class things. But what was really going on below was I was getting paid more than my husband, and there was some underlying resentment there. He was spending money on importing cars, motorbikes, kind of, shed stuff, man cave stuff. There was more underlying resentment from me. Our renovator's delight was a big friggin' money pit, and we were well over budget. It still wasn't complete, and we were robbing Peter to pay Paul in terms of we had gold credit cards that were maxed out, and we were having to get early payday money transfers to put food on the table. It seemed the harder we worked, the more we spent, and the quicker it evaporated into thin air, to the point that I would be puckering up with my FPOS cards, hoping that the word approved would show up. Now, we were together for just over 7 years, and by the end of our relationship, I'd thrown my hands up to look after our finances, because every corner I turned to, there was a creditor, there was an unpaid bill, there was another bike or a car purchase. And I was really tired of managing money that just wasn't there. And as the financial spouse, or the one that did the day-to-day management of our money, it became more and more frustrating for him to be ignorant of just how bad things were. We were maxed out on our credit. We had refinanced our mortgage more times than I care to remember. And we did not have $1 in savings or tucked away in a drawer. That next year, we became separated. We were going through a custody battle, and eventually we became divorced, and then walked down the aisle to bankruptcy. It was a hell of a ride for those 3 years. I had a lot of shame when it came to bankruptcy, but the reality was I found myself with no capacity to consider any other option other than starting fresh. It did give me a huge sense of relief, but I knew this was far from the solution. I needed to change my money situation. So I made a decision. At that point, I started dating my now husband, but we began very differently. We had very separate finances. I was on a six-figure salary. He was self-employed. Child support was shaving my income by around about 50% every month. I had no savings still. I had no assets, but with the bankruptcy, thankfully, I also had no liabilities. So at 34 years old, I was starting from scratch again. Now, it took me the best part of 10 years to turn it around. Up until my daughter turned 18, about 2.5 years ago, I actually had never received the full extent of my six-figure salary in 12 years. But gradually, as the effect of my past decisions wore off, I have been able to see where my money habits are represented by the number in my bank account. I now see that the number is not attached to my self-worth, but it is attached to the decisions I made yesterday, the ones that I will make today, for tomorrow, and the future. So when looking at your money habits, this is the number one key to avoid getting yourself into a money pickle, And it's only available when we take radical responsibility for our money mindset, our learned money patterns, and a lack of money education. Because what do they really teach us at school, right? You can change your relationship with money. You can make better choices when it comes to having money, holding money, saving money, spending money, and learning to be with money. You don't know what you don't know until you know it. I have changed my habits over the course of the last 3 years. I have sold my house privately for 80K over market value. I sold it myself. I voluntarily contribute more to my superannuation by $500 a month. And that's only on a small salary too. I no longer earn six figures. I have long-term and short-term investment accounts. I have a delicious amount of money in my savings account. I've purchased a brand new car that does not stretch my budget. So yes, I do pay for it monthly, but I don't stretch my budget. I've invested in one-to-one coaching. I've invested in group coaching programs. I've invested 7K upfront to start my own business. We booked a holiday in the US that cost about 35 grand. And we did the most amazing things over there without having to worry about overspending. We always have money to pay for bills. And most importantly, as a couple, we talk about money in our relationship all the time to normalize it. We both take an active role in being responsible, being the financial spouse for our money. Not one person has a bigger role than the other. So we make sure that is an equal partnership when it comes to managing our money. And it simply starts with just talking about it. When it comes to money mindset, the easiest way to know, to know where you're at is you could take a look at your dollar amount in your bank accounts. But really, it's just to take a look at your money habits, comb through your expenses, work out your net worth, bring the numbers to the table. Once you've got the numbers, you've got data, you don't have drama. And then you can look at how to solve things, right? And when you're doing it as a couple, or even if you're doing it as an individual, when we remove that attachment to our self-worth and money, it becomes a lot easier to see them as two separate things. And then when we're not drowning in our self-worth story, we can actually see the money for the number rather than the story that we've attached to it. So take a look at your money habits, comb through your expenses, etc. The second piece would be to know your money values. I have found that this is probably the key to it when we're talking about money. I have different values, Dave has different values, but together we actually have some really common themes when it comes to what our values are in terms of what we want for our lives. And so we use those common values to create our buckets. And then we have our buckets to the side of that, which are like our own personal buckets where, he can go riding on the weekends and Laurie can go invest in any program she wants that is within that budget, that allocated budget, right? The next part would be to commit yourself to a budget. And if you don't have a budget, there's plenty of online budgets that you can get to. I might just drop a link to the one in Australia. Commit yourself to a budget and to a spend, save and invest. When it comes to investing or saving or spending, it's always do it within your means, right? Or create more means. You could get a side hustle, you could upskill for a new career, you could apply for that damn job, you could KonMari your stuff, like, I love you, catch you later. If money were a person and it sat down next to you right now, what would it want to say? Like, hey, how you doing? Or would it be like, under a table trying to hide from you? If money were a person, it sat down next to you, what would it want to say? And just be curious with it. But I do encourage you to take a look at the numbers and decide to take radical responsibility for your money matters, because if not now, when? My friends, I will see you back again for some more smart, savvy small talk. See you soon. Bye.